Hi, this is Matt with Custom Car Grills. Today we're working on a mesh mod for the Hyundai Veloster Turbo rear bumper. I'm starting with an unpainted bumper that we bought new, and I'm going to be cutting some shapes into these areas. To get a good clean cut, I'm going to flip over the bumper so that we're working on the back side of it. There's going to be an easily visible indented line that will be our divider for two separate sections. Included in our mesh set will be 4 vinyl decals. These will help guide the cuts that we need to make. To apply the decals, I'm going to start by misting some water in the area where they'll be placed. This will help move or reposition the decal for the perfect alignment. Next, I'm going to peel off one of the stickers, and I'm also going to mist the sticky side of the vinyl, which will help a little bit more with repositioning if needed. Now it's time to get the decal on the back of the bumper. We're looking to have an equal amount of black border all the way around the red decal. Getting this lined up perfectly is very important for how well this will turn out in the end, so attention to detail is key here. Once one piece is lined up well, then I'm going to work on the next section. Again, it's super important to get these lined up and spaced out properly in this step. Once I'm happy with the positioning, then it's time to do a little cleanup. The first step of this is to squeegee out the excess water underneath the vinyl. This will help ensure that our template is laying flat without any sort of distortion. Then I'll just clean up the excess water so that we have a nice clean and dry area to work on. Next, a silver marker will help me transfer the template's shape onto the bumper. The transfer of the template is needed because we can't cut directly on top of the vinyl template. Most any type of marker can be used for this step, but it's important that the color contrast well against the bumper. When finished, this will be the line that we cut on. After the vinyl is traced, the templates can be peeled off and discarded. Now it's time to get down to some cutting. I'm going to use my Dremel for this project, and I've equipped it with one of their drywall cutting bits. I highly advise doing a test cut to get a feel for how the bit works and will react with the plastic. I found if you don't have the tool and the bit at just the right angle, it has a tendency to want to make a large circle cut. To do this right, we need a good steady cut. If I feel that the cutting bit is going to wander off, I need to quickly correct course. Cutting with 2 hands on the tool will help quite a bit if someone is able to hold the bumper still. Different cutting bits can be used, but usually I've had the best results with the drywall bit. Once the piece falls out, simply collect and discard it. After I have one section done, I'll move on to the next. The spot where the backup sensor goes will have a nice cutout that will circle around the part it clips onto. It's important to keep in mind that I'm cutting on the inside of the marks as I previously made. The mesh piece we made will depend on this. Next, I'll change my Dremel bit to the sanding drum so that I can smooth out the cuts that I just made. Some contouring can be done here if there's a wavy cut or a corner that's not as round as we like it. Repeat this sanding all around the cuts until satisfied with the shape and size of the opening. A smaller sanding drum like this one can also be used in tight areas. We should now have a nice clean cut line, and I like the way that this is turning out so far. To put the finishing touches on the cut edge, I'm going to use a couple different grits of sandpaper. I'm going to start with a 180 grit and then smooth it down to about a 320 or 400 grit. Also, sanding down some of the welded plastic that holds on the backup sensor clip will be needed for our mesh to fit flushly against the back of the bumper. It's important not to remove too much of this area because we need this part to still be attached firmly to the bumper. Any last remaining plastic bits or roughness can usually be smoothed out with a razor blade. Since I'd purchased my bumper new, it was not painted, and before I went forward with the mesh installation, I lightly sanded the rest of the bumper to prep it for paint. Here's a quick look at the cuts I made. Overall, it looks like everything was trimmed straight with good smooth lines. For a paint job, we went with a gloss black finish. It's something a little different than the factory color, but I think it'll look great on the car. Our mesh pieces are also done in gloss black, and these will match the mesh pieces that we sell for the front grille too. All 4 pieces shown here will be included along with the vinyl templates, and they'll be available in our Perf SS mesh as well as our Perf GT mesh. While the mesh pieces are pre-cut, they may need very minor adjusting so that they lay flat on the back of the bumper. There's a few ways to temporarily attach the mesh pieces to the bumper. One method is to use clamps along with some foam pieces to protect the paint. This works okay if there's a clamp large enough to reach far in, but even then it's still a little tricky to deal with. To attach the mesh, there's a couple recommended adhesives, one of which is automotive goop. When using the goop, I like to apply it with a toothpick so that I have full control over where it goes. This adhesive takes about a day to cure, so plan the install accordingly if using it. Quicker drying adhesives like Plyo Grip will set up in about 30 minutes, but this type of adhesive costs much more. As far as a different installation method, I ended up using some wood dowels on the front of the grill to tie the mesh to. Again, I used some foam on the painted surface to protect it, but this method ended up being much quicker and easier than the clamps. Once the adhesive of choice is cured, the support that was used to hold it in place can be removed and we're all done. Let's flip this over and check out how it all turned out. I think this mod turned out great. It took a little bit of time and patience to cut, but the end result is just spectacular. Here's a couple installed pictures of how it looks on the car. This is a very fresh look for the Veloster Turbo, and a must-have mod for anyone looking to get away from the bland factory rear bumper. I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions about this one or any of our others, then feel free to contact us.